My son's name is Robert Levi Jackson. He was home from Christmas break from Western, going to college there. He was going to be the first one to graduate from his Jackson family. At Christmas, Levi had asked for, he liked to write poetry, and he asked for some new journals, and for Christmas we made sure that we got some journals that he wanted, and I went and helped him pick. He picked out a special ink pen, and I had it engraved for him. And so he was just, and he got a book of poets of writers and things, and he was just so excited about it. And really a good Christmas. The next day, on the 26th, Levi was going to have to go to work. He had worked at his father's employment during the summer, and to help out with his college, he was going to work during Christmas break, and he had to go in on night shift that night on the 26th. And I woke him up, and as usual, whenever I woke either one of my children up, Gina or Levi, they'd always say, 5 more minutes, Mom, just 5 more minutes. And so 5 more minutes, and I'd go back and I'd say, you got to get up. So when I finally got him to get up and get a shower, I fixed supper for that night, and it was spaghetti, and he wasn't a fond person of spaghetti, but he said, I'll just take it to work with you, because he saw we had chocolate donuts, and he was a big fan of chocolate donuts and milk. And so he took his chocolate donuts and he crunched them up in his cup, and that's what he had for supper. And then he took his spaghetti and stuff. While he was getting ready for work, as I often did, I followed him back to his room. And we sat and talked. And he talked about how his spiritual life wasn't the way he wanted it to be. And I said, but you'll get it back, hon. And he said he wanted to save the world. He said, I just want to save the world, Mom. And I said, if you can save one person, that's more than a lot of people do in a lifetime. And we went ahead talking a little bit, and he got himself ready. And he told me about a poem he had written the night before, but he hadn't finished it yet. And as he got ready to leave out, I told him, I said, go back and give your dad a kiss and a hug before you leave. And so he did. He ran back to get his dad a kiss and a hug. And he walked out the door, and it was starting to snow with some really big, fluffy snowflakes. And so I told him, I said, as I always did when either one of my children left, I told him to be good, be careful, and I love you. And he gave me a big old kiss. He pushed my hair back and gave me a big old kiss on my forehead like he always did. And I gave him one on his neck and hugged him real tight. He had gotten a paycheck, and his dad had picked it up for him. And he said, Mom, did Dad get my paycheck? He ran out to his dad's truck to grab his little paycheck that he had gotten from the week before. And I said, just one more hug and one more kiss. And he came back home to the house, back up to me, and he gave me one more hug and one more kiss. And then he walked to his car and got in and left. Approximately 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, we got a call from the workplace, and it was this foreman, and he was saying, he said, is Levi going to come to work tonight, Carol? And I said, well, yeah, he's coming to work. He should have already been there. He said, oh, he wouldn't have stopped to see some little girl, would he? And I said, no, he should be there, So we got off the phone, and I told his dad that he probably had to stop and get some gas, so maybe that's why he was a little bit late. And his dad decided he'd go out and check, make sure that he was okay. So his dad left the house, and I was not quite 2-year-old grandson with me. And of course, immediately I began to worry, because it wasn't like him not to have been there on time. And I waited, and I walked back and forth through the house and taking care of Devin at the same time. And I thought, well, I'm going to call Hancock County Police and see if there's been any accidents or anything. It was snowing. They said there had been an accident, but they couldn't tell me anything about it. I knew it was Levi. His dad finally came home after it seemed like an eternity. And as he walked up the sidewalk, I ran out the door and I said, did you find him? Did you find him? He said, Carol, he's gone. I said, of course he's gone. He went to work. He said, "No, Carol," and he just dropped to his knees. He said, "He's gone." We had some caring young couple that came to our house. They had passed by the accident scene and knew that I had Devin with me, and so they knew that we would need someone to watch him. And they came to the house, and they just stayed and went while we took off to go down to where the accident had occurred. They wouldn't let us come very close, but I wanted to go to my baby. So I got out of the vehicle and I started walking toward him. I wanted to hold him. I didn't want him to be by himself. Instead of getting ready to take Levi, getting ready for him to go back to college, I had to make plans. Instead of washing and ironing his clothes, he liked his things pressed out, and I was already doing that. I had to go visit our pastor. We had to start making service plans. So instead of him going back to college, we picked out a casket and a place for him to be buried. The time of service. He was just 20 years old, 2 months, 28 days when he was killed. We had to go to college that year, go back to college and pick up his things and clear his room out. I blamed God for it for a long time. I get mad at myself and I got mad at God. But I knew it wasn't their fault. It was the people that decided to drink and drive. Alcohol. I'm no longer the person I used to be. My daughter, Gina, said that we're just different people. Her parents were different people after that. I no longer feel the happiness in my heart. It's just like my heart's been taken and ripped out of my body and mangled. I laugh at things people have to say, but I don't feel it in my heart. Levi used to call me, and he would say, "Mom, would you look at that sunrise, or did you see that sunset today?" We used to enjoy things like that together. Or we'd sit and we'd watch the stars and we'd talk about his dreams. And I no longer have those dreams, and I no longer enjoy those sunrises and sunsets like I used to. There's been a reference made that we want to, the reason why our county, we're a poor county, is because we don't have these types of revenue in the county. And we need to, in order to have more industry here and things that we need to be able to sell alcohol. There's also in those larger counties more violent crimes, murder, etc. Is that what we want? I've lived in this county all my life, and I've always been proud to say I live in Breckinridge County. And one of the reasons for being proud is that it is a dry county, It really bothers me to think that one day my grandchildren will be walking down the street, the sidewalks, to take a little walk, to go with their friends, and that they may have to pass someone walking out of a bar or liquor store, packing their bottles and their cases of beer, or drunk, walking out from the bar. And it really bothers me to think that could happen. Our little county is beautiful, and let's keep it that way. I had to bury my son because of alcohol. He was not only my son, but he was my friend. He was an uncle. He was a brother, a grandson. He was a friend to most people that he knew. Consider how you would feel. Put yourself in my shoes. Could you bury your child? It was an unnecessary death. He should be here with us right now, bugging people with his poems. I could no longer hug him, kiss him, tell him how proud I am of him. I can no longer buy him a gift for his birthday or Christmas. Instead, I place a wreath on his grave. That's all I can do for him. So I urge you on January the 29th to please vote no and keep alcohol from being sold in our county.